Hi everyone, how are you all? I hope you're doing really well and keeping healthy and enjoying the lovely rainy weather. Well, whatever the weather is, we've got to somehow make the most of it. So, I'm here with another recipe and I'm hoping you're going to enjoy this one. So, we are today going to be making some really tasty and delicious burgers. Now, you're thinking, what are the burgers going to be of? Well, by now you'll see the title, so you would know that these are spinach and red kidney bean burgers. Now, we've often heard of bean burgers, but not just specifically red kidney bean burgers. Now, usually when you buy the shop bought ready-made frozen bean burgers, they're mainly made out of black beans, alongside other beans like butter beans and kidney beans. But if you know me in my classes, I like to make one specific bean, like the center of the dish that I'm making. We do use a lot of mixed beans in our recipes, but today especially I'm using red kidney beans. Now, red kidney beans are packed with fiber, packed with protein. If you're vegetarian or a vegan, you would already be used to using lentils and beans as a really good source of protein in your diet if you don't eat meat, obviously. And even if you do eat meat, how much meat can you have? You need to have at least about 3 or 4 days in a week where you try to make a habit to somehow try and switch from eating less meat and more healthier kind of natural kind of protein. Well, it's a better habit, it's a better lifestyle habit anyway. So our burgers are going to be made out of spinach, fresh spinach. Please try not to use the frozen spinach. Fresh spinach is it's cheaper anyway. Well, it's not cheaper, but it's cheap, especially if it's in season, which is kind of all year round anyway, because it's a British leaf. And then the red kidney beans. Now, if you do have a pressure cooker and you are used to, let me just show you. If you are used to boiling your fresh beans, then that's highly recommended. Please try and do that instead of using the tin beans. I don't think there's any harm in using tin beans, but it's just the thought, and the texture and the taste in fresh beans is completely different. But however, if you're on the go like I am, if you're in a rush, then who can resist tinned kidney beans. Right, so what we're going to do first, these are the stages we can go through. We're going to chop the baby spinach, and then we're going to dry the kidney beans, and we're going to mush them, and we're going to mix everything together. We're going to add some potato as well, and I'll tell you along the way why and when. Right, so as the star of the show is going to be the baby spinach and red kidney beans, we want the flavor to kind of really be enhanced. So we're not going to overpower them with anything else, and we're going to season them with some mixed herbs alongside some other spices as well. But we don't want to kind of overpower the burgers with any particular spices. But the mixed herbs will really help bring out the taste of especially the kidney beans, because kidney beans can be a bit dry. Right, so let's start off with chopping the spinach really fine. It's a big bag, and don't be afraid that, oh, it's so much spinach, we don't need this much spinach compared to this small tin. Trust me, the spinach will shrink. And it's not going to shrink because we're going to cook the spinach separately. It's going to shrink because we're going to kind of mush it up with all the beans, and it will form into a really nice patty. Now, you can pre-cook the spinach, but what that's going to do, it's going to kind of separate the spinach and the water of the spinach, and we don't want that. We want the spinach to contain its crunchiness. We want it to contain its water, because that is what's going to help bring everything together. And plus, the more you cook a vegetable, the more you lose its nutritional benefits, unless you are going to be consuming that water as well. Right. Right, so as you know, my cooking skills are not amazing, but I'm getting there. I mean, my knife chopping skills. Okay, so I have finally chopped the spinach. That took me about a minute, so I kind of paused the video in between that. I didn't want you to see me chopping the spinach the whole time. Now, as you can see, I have very much tried to chop the spinach all really fine, and try to make sure it's really fine, because that's going to help kind of bind it together, and it won't kind of poke out. You won't have little stalks like this poking out of your burger, which, sorry about that. Right, so we're going to put this in a bowl, and then we are going to get on with the kidney beans. Okay, right, we'll sort that out in a minute. Right, time to open up the kidney beans. Okay, I'm going to put this in a bowl. Oops. And then I'm going to drain all the liquid. I'm going to take it over to the sink. Right, I've taken out all the water of the kidney beans and kind of given them a bit of a wash as well, because they soaked in water with some salt and I didn't want any extra salt in here. So now what I'm going to do is mush these kidney beans. Now kidney beans are one of the beans that I think probably the only beans that are quite soft when fully cooked, whereas the other beans can be still a little bit on the hard side, and if you try to mash them, you know, it's a bit of a mission sometimes. Now I'm going to quickly mash all of this up. Okay, and that is really well. You don't need to make it really fine. You just need to make sure that every kidney bean has kind of popped and burst. It doesn't need to be completely fine. You can do it with a potato masher, and you can even do it in a blender as well if you do prefer it fine. Right, now we are going to add this in with our spinach, and I know you're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of spinach and just a little bit kidney beans. Well, you'll see how the spinach is just going to kind of wrap around all the kidney beans, and it's just going to form such a nice dough. Not dough, like a patty mixture. Right, now here comes the potatoes. Now you're probably thinking, why do we need potatoes? Now I've just pre-boiled these potatoes. The reason why we need potatoes is if you're making any kind of patty or kind of burger mixture, you need some form of glue to kind of bind everything together. Whether it's an egg, cheese, potato, breadcrumbs, oats. The easiest thing I find is potato. Now if you want to avoid the potato due to carbs or, you know, whatever reason, you can switch it with sweet potato. I probably would highly recommend using sweet potato, but as I don't have it right now, I'm using normal potato. That's what I would normally do anyway. Yeah, because I don't have that, I'm using normal potato. So this kind of helps bind everything together. Now I've been requested to make a specific recipe today that's vegan friendly as well. That's why I'm not adding the egg. Otherwise I would have probably done the egg as well. But as the potato, I've got enough potato in here, it will help bind everything together. Alright, now before we mix everything, we're going to just add the seasoning, and that will just save time for us. So we've got some herbs, some mixed herbs. Again, mixed herbs is just going to add such a lovely flavour. Oops, it's never too much. And then, like I told you, we were going to add some salt. That's why I wanted to take out the additional salt. So we've got half a teaspoon of salt, and then we've got some black pepper, half a teaspoon of black pepper. And as you know, my family, including my kids, love their spices. So I'm going to be adding in half a spoon of, okay, let me just sprinkle this. I've got these new spice holders, spice rack things, and I'm not used to them. So yeah, about half a spoon of some chili flakes. You know what, I'm actually going to add in a little bit of chili powder as well. Give it that little kick. Okay, and now we're going to mix everything together, and you're going to see as we were mixing it what I was talking about with the spinach. And you know what, for this bit I'm going to use my hands because I want to squeeze all the spinach in. And the reason why you need to have a good portion of wet ingredients, and when I say wet, I do mean the kidney beans and the potato, because the spinach is quite dry. It is releasing moisture as we're mixing it, but if it's more on the dry side than the wet side, then what will happen is any kind of spinach that's exposed on the surface of the burger will dry out really badly, and become really crispy and not very pleasant to eat when it's being baked, because this is going to go in the oven in a minute. Now as you can see, while we're talking, we've managed to mix everything, and can you see how all the spinach has kind of just shrinked in size and it's formed its place with the kidney beans and potato mixture. Now, you can use any beans, any beans you like. I'm using kidney beans because in my house there's 2 people, and one of them is me, who are not big fans of red kidney beans. So I'm not a big fan of red kidney beans, but I don't stop myself from eating anything. I encourage myself to eat everything, including the things I don't like. But what I do is I kind of change the way they look, or change their texture, or add them in different recipes and alter their the way you would normally have them, and I'll make sure I eat them so I benefit from them, especially if it's a food that's really high in nutritional values, which kidney beans is. So it's me and my daughter, one of my middle daughter, who doesn't like kidney beans, and on the other hand my husband and my eldest daughter love kidney beans. So but when I make them like this, make them into patties or veggie nuggets or anything, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I don't know why, I just don't enjoy eating kidney bean as a whole. I think maybe it's just the colour and the not colour, maybe it's just the name that puts me off. right, so that's there. Now ideally you should leave this in the fridge for about 15 minutes to firm up, but because we're doing a lesson right now, we don't have that time. But if you are at home making this, then put this in the fridge for about 15 minutes, let it firm up, and then make them into patties. Okay, so I've given this mixture about 5 minutes to rest, and now I'm going to shape them into patties, burger sized patties, and set them on this oven sheet and let them bake for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now, although everything in here is edible as it is, because there's no raw egg, there's no raw meat, there's no raw any beans or anything, ideally the burgers just need enough time just to kind of cook from the surface. But because of the texture of the mixture, if you don't bake them for too long, what will happen is that firstly when they do go in the oven, they kind of loosen up and then they bring their shape together. So if you don't leave them in for too long, then they will lose their shape and they won't really look like burgers. Right, so, and at this point, if you wanted to, you can make them smaller and make them into nuggets. You can make them into kebabs, but because this specific recipe is for a burger, we are doing that. As you can see, I oiled my hands quite a lot with olive oil, and the reason for that, we didn't add any oil in the mixture, so it's not dry, but it needs a little bit of kind of an agent to kind of help it bring that glossy shine together. And you're going to need to add oil every time you make one patty, and don't be afraid that you're adding too much. Don't forget that's the only oil there is in the whole of the patty. Okay, and also because of the beans, your hands are going to get a little bit dry. They actually look so good. I'll show you them a close-up before we put them in the oven. Now someone was asking me, what if we want to add some kind of flavouring in the burger to give it a meaty taste but not add any meat? Now if you're not vegetarians and you're making vegetarian food and you're worried how you're going to actually survive, what you can do is you can add some, you get those chicken stock cubes. You can add one of them, you can kind of crush them up into pieces and add them in. Or you can even add a vegetable stock cube just to give it extra flavour. But personally I wouldn't, because I want to enjoy the flavour of the kidney beans and the spinach. Oh, I forgot my own rule for a second. Okay, put them on. So I think in total with this amount we can probably make about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 burgers. And if you've got a small family, then what you can do is halfway through baking them, you can freeze the burgers and use them for a rough day, a rainy day, where you just don't have the energy to cook. And to be honest, that's what I do with a lot of my cooking. If I've gone slightly over the amount of what I usually need, I will freeze it and I'll use it for another day. Now, as you can see, this is what I was saying. Because this is the last patty, that's fine. But the leaves are poking out, just with this last one, I think because my hands are so... I should have worn gloves. But yeah, so you don't want any of the leaves to get crispy. Now here we go. Here's our burgers before they've gone. They're not being baked as yet. They're about to go in the oven. But can we just take a minute to appreciate how beautiful they look? I mean, you can see the color combination of the kidney beans and the spinach. You've got a bit of purple, a bit of green there, and it just looks so beautiful. I would even eat this raw if I had to, because like I said, everything's kind of cooked in here anyway. It's edible as it is. But no, we are going to be patient and we're going to put it in the oven and we're going to wait. So this is going to go in the oven for about 15 minutes at about 200 degrees. Not too high, otherwise they're going to kind of burn on top and not cook in the middle. Okay, so the patties have been in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. And we're going to take them out now. Oh my god. Ooh, they look amazing. They just look so beautiful. Do you know what? I think this is perfect timing because it's Halloween as well. They've got that kind of greeny witchy colour. Oh, but they look amazing. Hope that made you laugh there. Right, so let's just see. Yeah, perfect, amazing. And I put in a bun in the oven as well because I'm going to make my burger now. Right, so let's get a plate. So I've got a burger. Now if you want to, you can just have it on its own with like some salad, but I feel like having some comfort food today, so I'm going to make myself a really nice healthy burger. Right, so it's a little bit warm, bit of ketchup, however you like to have your burger, entirely up to you. Turn the ovens off. And then I'm going to add some salad, some lettuce, some peppers. I love lots of salad and lettuce in my burgers, and I've added you can see I've already pre-cut all this salad, and then I'm going to get my patty or whatever you want to call it. Still a little bit hot. It goes there, and it needs some kind of form of cream, so I'm going to be adding some Greek style yogurt. If you know me, you know I love yogurt. And that is just going to go so well. A dollop of yogurt there. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And now let's make this a little bit of photogenic and put it on a little chopping board there. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. And there goes your delicious, absolutely yummy tummy spinach and red kidney bean burger. And if this was served in a restaurant, I'm pretty sure it would not be less than about £5. That looks amazing. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will come back with another recipe next week. Until then, have fun, and if you do try this, do let me know how it goes. Take care. Bye bye.